Welcome to the Bywords Show. I'm your host, Hannah Hughes. Bywords is all about equipping women for purposeful living by starting conversations, celebrating stories, and inspiring faith. In a world that applauds the hustle, I'm here to help you break free from the lies and come back to what really matters. It's time to get real, get rooted in truth, and come alive in relationship with Jesus so you can show up to each day with intention and confidence no matter where you're at in your story. Here we believe that embracing our stories brings hope, healing, and purpose to the process, and sharing our stories helps others do the same. Whether you're looking for a midweek faith refresh, practical tools for pursuing your dreams, or just need some good old-fashioned girl talk, you're in the right place. Grab your latte and let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Bywords Show. Today is the day, and I'm so glad you're here. I've got my fizz with me. Y'all, I drank this all the time when I was postpartum with Jude, and I have been using it again postpartum with Della, and I forgot how amazing it is. Plus, it's delicious. So I've got my caffeine, my electrolytes, my collagen, all the things in this little drink. I feel like when you're a mom, that's the way to go, right? You got to just like mix it all up together. Speaking of motherhood, oh man, you guys, I had some episodes that I was going to record today. And then I went to counseling this morning and it just like basically ripped me to pieces in the best way, you know? And by the way, Della is sitting right next to me. So we'll try to get through this with as little interruptions as possible, but you know. Anyway, I was in counseling this morning and what we talked about just really got me good today. Like it was just so what I needed. And it was one of those things where it was like, I needed this so bad. Like this, I feel like is what I need to share now. And anyway, I'm just going to go for it. And I want to preface this by saying like, I feel like we're on the same page here. Like nothing's TMI. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we just go there on this show. So I'm going to talk about just like my mental health struggles and motherhood and just be really honest. Hopefully that's okay with you. But I just want to share kind of from where I'm currently at. I shared recently that and there's Stella. I shared recently about my struggle with postpartum depression and how I've just had anxiety a lot recently in the last, 6 months to a year. So today in counseling, I was talking to my therapist about how I just am struggling in the season. We've just been in a transition season for a long time. And I felt like, honestly, kind of like this little crisis about like, what am I doing with my life? What am I supposed to be doing? I feel kind of aimless in this season. And I just feel so, I don't know how to explain it, just unsettled in that, I guess. And so I was talking to her about how I feel like all I am is just a mom, day in and day out, cleaning, cooking, running errands, cleaning up again, getting ready for bed, doing the whole routine, going to sleep, actually staying up way too late because that's the only time for myself. And then waking up early, being so exhausted and going through the whole routine again. And it's this endless cycle of feeling so tired and so worn out by the routine, I guess. And I just have felt like what I'm doing, does anything I'm doing matter, kind of, is the season that I'm in. And I was telling her, I just really struggle. I feel like I'm not doing anything. I am someone who thrives on productivity and achievements. Y'all know this about me by now, probably, but I just really, really value being able to get things done. And when you're a mom, especially when you have little tiny kids, those moments are kind of few and far between. Sometimes I feel like if you're at home a lot, like if you're a stay-at-home mom or if you're a working from home mom or, just in that season where it feels like, oh my goodness, this is the hardest thing I've ever done and will it ever end? And, but like not motherhood ending, but like when will the hard end, I guess. And I was telling her about how, Jude is at this age where we butt heads a lot because we're so similar. But also just, like he's found out that he has his own will and he can say no to things and he has his own way that he wants to do things. And I get so frustrated sometimes and I don't like that about myself, but I understand, I recognize that I am tired. And when I'm exhausted, I'm not my best, most patient self. So I'm explaining this to her and how I feel like it's just been hard for so long. Like Jude had health challenges and then behavioral stuff was going on and we were trying to navigate that while we were going through our miscarriages, and just now Della's finally here and we have 2 kids, so we're adjusting to that, and it just feels like it's hard. And I was telling her I can't wait for there to be a season where it's just easy. And she just said, hey, can I tell you something out of love? It's never going to be easy. And I don't tell you that to discourage you, but I'm telling you that so you can adjust your expectations. And then she explained to me that the space between our expectations and reality is where all the tension, all the anxiety, all the depression, and all of that lives. So again, not to like settle, like not that kind of lowering our expectations, but bringing our expectations down to a realistic level and just acknowledging where we're at in life, what roles we're in, like just being really real about where we're at and what that looks like is so helpful. Because for me, a lot of my anxiety and my tension in the season has been waiting for that one day when everything will be easy and be perfect. And that's just probably not going to happen, right? Like that's life. It's going to be, and she said, and I'm not saying it's never going to be fun and enjoyable or easy or light. She's saying being a parent is always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be challenging things no matter what season you're in. It just changes. And some of those will be easier for you, they'll be more enjoyable, but there will always be different challenges. So prepare yourself for that so that you can be realistic and actually enjoy where you're at without wishing that you were at the easy part or the next part or whatever that looks like. Because it's always going to be something, right? It's like, oh, when they're in school, it'll be easier. And then they get in school and it's like, what in the world? This whole new set of things that you have to navigate with your kid. And then it's like, oh, well, when we get to this point, when we get to this point, when they start crawling, when they start walking, when they start talking, it's like every challenge or every season, I feel like of parenting, every season of your kids is sweeter and more challenging. That's just the way it goes. And I had lost sight of that. Like I was just so in the thick of it. And I feel like it's easy for us to get that way, right? It's like when we're in the thick of it, we're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this part to be over. And sometimes we think that once we get through the certain stage of life that we're in, everything's just going to settle and be easy, but that's not realistic. You know what I mean? And so it was really hard hearing that, but also good. And then she used this example that it blew my mind. And I was like, wow, I have got to share that with just the whole world because it's so important and helpful. She said, parenting is like tending a garden. You're the gardener and you're growing these plants, and every single one of them is different, right? They all require different things, different amounts of attention, different things in different seasons. And it's exhausting being a farmer. And you have to know the things that you're doing, even the small routine things that seem just like chores, are making a difference. She started asking me what I think I'm doing well on a regular basis. Like, what do I do day in, day out that I feel good about? And I told her, honestly, I don't feel like much. There's nothing I'm doing on a regular basis that I feel really excited and proud about in this season. Most of my days don't look like this, where I'm sitting down, recording podcasts, creating content, hanging out with friends. Like, I love that. But in this current season of motherhood and life, that's not my everyday. Like that's the 10% of my life. The other 90% is filled with grocery shopping, changing diapers, nursing a baby, cleaning up the house, finding something to do until bedtime. And I was just telling her, it just feels like every day all I do is cook and clean, do errands, and take care of kids. And she was like, I think you need to give yourself a little bit of credit, because what you are perceiving as chores and mundane and insignificant is actually extremely important. She said, think about it this way. You need to shift your perspective. Instead of all I do all day is cook and clean and take care of kids, what about every day I wake up and throughout the night to feed these kids, to nourish their bodies so that they can be healthy and to grow, to nourish them? Because if I didn't do that, they would die, right? Like if we don't feed our bodies, if we don't feed our kids, they're not going to be okay. That's like hugely detrimental to their health in all areas. Like if I don't interact with my kids, that's going to hurt them socially, it's going to hurt them emotionally, mentally, whatever. Like there are so many things that we do as parents where it feels so mundane and it feels so, if I'm being really honest, boring sometimes. And she was like, it's so much more important than you think. Like a farmer, I'm sure, gets tired of the same work day in and day out. But you know what? At the end of it, he's got a huge crop, a beautiful, healthy crop that has grown through different seasons. And now he gets to reap the benefits of that. And parenting is a long journey. Parenting is a forever journey. When you're a parent, you're always going to be a parent. You're always going to have a child in your life that you have to nurture and navigate life with. Again, it'll be different in every single season, but being a mom is something you'll be forever. She just said, you've got to find ways to tend the garden well, but also give the farmer rest, because honestly, I feel like moms are notorious for getting to the end of themselves before they realize that they needed to get their cup filled again. And I I feel like I have learned through the years that I have got to be more proactive about that, but I still struggle because there are days when I wake up and I feel so exhausted and the whole day is basically playing catch up so that I can go to sleep and start the next day fresh and hopefully do better or do more. Ugh, she also gave this really good example. She was like, motherhood in the young years is like living off of juice. She was like, you may not be able to get in all the nutrients that you can, like all of the things that you love and enjoy to reap the benefits that like bring you joy and pleasure and, all of those things. Those moments may be few and far between, but how can you like basically squeeze those things in little doses throughout your day or like one day a week or whatever that looks like for you? So, like for me, I have my self care nights on Mondays where I'll take a bath, I'll read, I'll do something for me or I'll go for a walk. Those kinds of things, they're little, but she challenged me and I want to challenge you. If you're in a season where you feel like nothing you're doing matters, what can you do in little doses to refill your cup and to remind yourself that what you are doing is valuable? Sometimes we just need little reminders along the way so that we don't give up and we can remember why we started in the first place. We can keep our eyes focused on the bigger picture rather than zeroing in on the small things that really take away from being present and enjoying being in the process. And I feel like that's been the biggest struggle for me in motherhood is like waiting for the next stage, waiting for the next leap, the next season of life so that things will be easier. And then when it's not easier, I feel so disappointed, so discouraged, wondering what I did wrong, what's wrong, like what do I need to fix, what do I need to do more? It was just so helpful and encouraging to hear. Realistically, it's always going to have challenges. Yes, there are going to be days and months and years where it just feels lighter and easy and more enjoyable and we love and savor those moments, but there also will be challenges because that's life, like all of life. Even if you're not a mom or if the season you're in motherhood just feels so easy and like natural for you, there may be seasons past or in the future that will be challenging, and it's just so helpful to know we can adjust. We can adjust our expectations, we can adjust the way that we build rhythms into our lives. Like in harder, busier seasons, what I'm learning is I've got to communicate my need for rest and I have to prioritize that rest, like literally even sleep. She was telling me for anxiety, for like hectic, stressful, chaotic seasons in life, like we have to prioritize sleep because that's how our body is going to recharge, refill, get refueled so we can wake up energized to take on our day rather than constantly feeling like we're playing catch up. And I struggle with that so much. So that's why one of my goals this year is to get better sleep. But yeah, if you're, I know this is like short and sweet, but I just wanted to bring it up because if you're somebody who struggles, if you're a mom who's struggling with mental health or feeling aimless in this season and feeling like, what's the point? What am I supposed to be doing? Where am I going in life? Just know that it's temporary. This season is temporary, but it is so important. And this is what I'm telling myself today. What I'm doing matters, even if it's small, even if it's not impressive, even if it doesn't look like any of the other moms on Instagram who seem to be doing way better than me and way more than me, because everybody's life looks different. Their schedule, their kids, our bodies, our energy levels, our everything. Like we just can't compare. It does nothing for us to think that if we were more like this mom or more like her, then we would be better, whatever, our kids would be better. It's just basically all of this is to say I am learning to look at my season as a gift. I'm learning to look at, the things that I wish were different in my life as maybe this is something that God is using to protect me or to prepare me for something, like I'll give you an example, a vulnerable personal example. There are areas in my life, particularly my, social media, business, podcasts, things in my life that I wish were quote more successful, whatever that means. And like I wish the growth was more and I wish I could do more. But like I said, we are in a busy transitional season. I have little kids, and something my therapist said was like, maybe this is a gift for you. Maybe it's good that you don't have a lot on your plate right now so that you can actually enjoy these moments while you're preparing for the next season and while your kids are little and while you have a baby that needs you so much, like, and I was thinking, yeah, that's true. Like maybe God is just protecting me because he knows if the growth that I really wanted, if the success, if the things that I'm dreaming and hoping and praying for were here right now, maybe it would be way too much and it would not help my family. It would not help my mental health. It would just not be the right thing for this season. And that is so hard sometimes to let go of that because I'm somebody that just wants that. Like I want to have control. I want to be able to control it. I want to be able to control my timeline. I want to be able to control, what my life looks like. And sometimes we just can't. There are a lot of things that are out of our control, but there are many, many things that are in our control. And a lot of them are our mindset, our perspective, the way we use our time and energy each day. And I heard someone say, oh gosh, what was it? I think it was an audiobook I was listening to, or maybe it was one of my study Bible or my devotionals. I think it was in a daily grace study. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. So the verse that it was referencing was the one where it's like a prayer asking God to help us make the most of the time that we have. And they were saying it's not like what's the best of our time for us, it's what's the best of our time for God. And that just really challenged me because I think a lot of the times, especially in motherhood, I want to use my time for what's best for me. It's like, how much can I cram into a day? How much can I get done when my kids are napping or entertaining themselves, you know? And maybe that's not the point. Maybe the best use of my time in this season, when I would rather be more productive and able to accomplish more in a day, maybe the best thing is doing less so that I can be more present with my kids when I have the time to. You know, like it's really hard for me to be at this stage where I'm at, wishing I was further along. But when I step back and actually look at the big picture, it's like, wow, what a gift that I have this time to be present with my kids. And there's not a lot on my plate. Like I can really be present. I can really take in all of these sweet moments while Della is little and before Jude is in elementary school 5 days a week. You know, it's just, it's hard to do. It's hard to let go of our expectations. It's hard to let go of what we wish where we wish we were if we're not there yet. But I'm challenging myself, and I want to invite you into it as well, to ask God what his best use of this time is, because maybe it is cleaning up and cooking and taking care of kids all day. And that's the most important thing you can do right now. If that's what God is calling you to in this season. And I for a long time just fought that, and I try to resist it and, you know, try to make it work. And I just every time end up burnt out and discouraged and disappointed and just tired, and then just wondering why nothing is working. And then I come back to these moments where the Lord is giving me clarity, and it's like, you know, thank you, Jesus. I am just going to relax and rest into this season, even if it's challenging, even if I wish that I was in a different season or things looked different. Thank you, God, for the gift of right now, because you know what I need. Even if it's not what I would choose for myself, I know you know best. And so I'm choosing to trust that. So, yeah, I hope that's helpful for you. I just basically, my heart in this today was just that I needed to hear this so much. And as I was processing this on the way home, I just was thinking of you. I was thinking of the mom who's listening and just feeling so stuck in her season or so discouraged in her season, wishing there was more, wondering if there's more for her and if she will ever get to that stage of life where she feels like she's able to do all the things she wants to do. And I just want to tell you, it's coming. And even if it's in small doses now, God will meet you where you're at. He knows what we need. He knows who we need. He knows the season you're in. Your timeline is not a surprise to him. And having kids, having challenges in your life, having struggles does not pause your purpose. It doesn't push you back in your timeline. It doesn't slow you down. It's God takes into account everything. He's written out every single day of our lives, and he knows it's not a surprise to him. It's not a shock to him. He is not disappointed in you if you are struggling in your motherhood season. Maybe I'm just talking to myself today. It just makes me tear up even thinking about it, because motherhood has been a hard journey for me. Oh man, y'all are just getting it all today. But as someone who really struggled to find her stride in motherhood for a long time, I have finally learned, or and am learning 4 years in, that I don't want to miss it. I don't want to waste a single minute because it goes so fast. And everybody says that, but then you have a kid and you realize how fast it goes. And there are just so many moments where when I had Jude and I was just chasing success and I wanted to be productive all the time, I missed moments with him where I could have just been still and played for a couple more minutes, you know? And I'm so thankful I'm learning these things early in my journey of motherhood. I mean, thankfully Jude is only 4, and we've got a lot of years together before he's out in the world on his own and spreads his wings and flies. But I know it's hard. I know that motherhood is sometimes really hard, and it can feel lonely, and it can feel scary, and it can feel confusing, and it can feel like a mess a lot of the time. But I just I just wanted you to know that I'm in it with you, I guess, and I just wanted you to know, like, gosh, you're doing such a good job. Like, if you are showing up every day for your kids, if you're waking up and feeding your baby, if you are spending even 5 minutes a day with your kid, eye contact, no distractions, phone away, like, gosh, you're doing such a good job, and if you haven't heard that lately, I wanna be the one to tell you. And, we just gotta remember that the hard is temporary, and the hard will change. But there's so much purpose in this season, and I'm just praying that in the hard seasons, God uses this as a refining work for us, a time to really, like, get our priorities straight, like, maybe some of the tension in motherhood, like, the struggles we face of letting go of what we wish we could be doing or feel like we should be doing, whatever that looks like for you, maybe that is the discomfort it takes for God to really get in there and just refine and clear out and really get you aligned with everything he created you for and everything you were made to be and do in this life in relationship with him and relationship with the people in your life. Man, like, how crazy is that to think about how he can use it all and how cool it is, like, the beginning stages of marriage and motherhood, they're hard. It's like a pressure cooker, you know what I mean? But that so prepares us for the moms that we're going to be on the other side of it. Because I mean, I have to remind myself of this all the time. It may seem really, really hard to have little kids right now, but there's going to be a day when my kids are in elementary school 5 days a week. Like, my brain can't even fathom that amount of time. I don't know about you, but I'm like, wait a minute, 5 days where I will have time to, like, wash my hair? What? Like, that's crazy. But it's just cool. Like, I pray that right now, the refining work God is doing in my heart through the tension of motherhood prepares me for that time when I do have more margin and space in my life to work on those other projects and show up for other things. I want to be prepared for that. And I want to be ready to do that well, because I hope that in the future, I can look back and say, I was present with my kids and I gave my best to my family and I did really good work because I learned to balance them well. I mean, I know balance is elusive, but you know what I mean? I want to find a way to do less well. And if it means letting go of some extra things that really are not moving me forward in the season, but keeping me in this tension of feeling like I wish I could do more, like, let it go. Today, I'm choosing to do less because I that's what it's going to take for me to feel good today about my work and about my mothering and about the season that I'm in. So, where did we even end up? I feel like this is the kind of conversation we would have if we were just sitting down for coffee, especially with Della in the background. Like, this is the chaos of motherhood anyway. So I hope that it was encouraging to you. I just love you guys, and I want you to know that I'm in your corner and I'm in it with you and I'm cheering you on. I just know that God is doing something. In the hard, God is always doing something. So if you feel like what you're doing right now and your role as a mother is insignificant, I pray that God speaks to you today about just how valuable you are to him and your kids and your family, and just the work you're doing right now in mothering. The season you're in matters. The work you're doing matters. The rest matters. All of it matters. And it is preparing you to be ready, to be in the right headspace and heart space for all that God has in store for you. And it's coming sooner than we think. You're ready for me to be done. Yeah, she's looking at me like, Mom, please just hold me. Let's have some girl time. So I guess that's all for today, you guys. I hope this leaves you encouraged. I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to tune into another episode of the Byword Show. I love having you here, and I am truly so thankful for your support. Don't forget to share a screenshot of this episode to let me know you were here. And quick favor, if you enjoyed this episode, would you take a second to leave a review? It really helps our community grow. If you want more, you can shop my books Waking Up and Love Is at thehannahhughes.com or on Amazon. And be sure to join my email list for all the latest news. I can't wait to chat again soon, but in the meantime, be sure to come connect with me on social media, and remember, I'm cheering you on.